audio ready? Okay, I think I remembered to unmute this time. Looks good. Also, this will be fun because randomly Mason will be in focus and randomly I'll be in focus. Hi, sorry, I don't, here we go. Wave on the side. There we go. Yeah, hello everybody. Welcome to the Binary Ninja 5.1 Helion. I forgot to bring up, we have that like pretty, we have all those cool graphics for it, and I didn't have them ready on the stream, so it's the one thing I forgot so far.
Well, at least we're not muted.
Right, over last time. Hopefully we're not muted. Anybody, can y'all hear us? Somebody in chat, let me know if audio, it looks like it's going.
I can turn this.
You could test it. I also have it over here. I can look at it, but it looks like we're transmitting audio. So if somebody is able to let us know, can you all hear us?
Yep, that's good.
Okay, sweet. So yeah, let's get into it. We've got the good stuff. So welcome to the Helion release stream. We have a whole bunch of features to go over today. The one of the biggest ones. Thanks, Ethical Math. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm on the wrong mic. On this one I'm on the wrong mic. Audio just switched. Hold on. Ooh, okay. Now we're back on our wireless mics. So when I have somebody else in the room, instead of using the Rode mic that's here, we have little wireless mics, and so now we don't have to have the headsets. We're gonna try this out. We'll see how it goes. So let me know after that switch how we're doing. Yeah, you don't need to. You can space out on me. I did try to switch the camera into manual focus mode so I could keep it flipping back and forth. And as soon as I did that, it crashed. So that was about 10 minutes before the stream. Anyway, we are going to be demoing a couple things this morning. So
Morning.
Hold on.
It might be morning for you.
Also, I'm holding it the wrong way because I'm left-handed, but I've got my little Trail of Bits coffee mug, so shout out to our friends at Trail of Bits. It is not actually morning to me. I was up reasonably early this morning. We've got a bunch of features. You can see kind of the outline, so you can see this is what we're going to be covering. But some of these actually have like multiple things below it, right? So these are it's a lot of stuff we get to go over for this release. First, warp. Let's talk about what warp is.
Sure. Yeah. So if you've been using Binary Ninja for the past few stables, we've had an experimental feature that's disabled by default called warp, which is like if you're familiar with SIGKit, Flirt, or if you've used Ghidra, their function ID system, it's like that. We currently have for the past, I guess, few years now. We've had SIGKit, which, if you're familiar with IDA's Flirt, very similar. These are partial function matches that we've been using on a few of the statically linked libraries that are common, namely MSVCRT. If you've been looking at any Windows binaries, you for sure have seen those yellow or whatever color they're all library function symbols. Those are from SIGKit.
So just for reference, we have our type libraries, obviously, right, which are for imports when you have, like, you call into user 32, but when you have something statically compiled in, you need to be able to fingerprint and recognize that inside of a binary, right? And so that's essentially the functionality we're talking about here, is recognizing either things that were runtime included or just, statically compiled.
Yeah. So the main thing we're trying to do, obviously, why not just improve SIGKit? Why do we have to have something else with a,
well,
an interesting,
a better name, obviously.
It is, but I was about to say the acronym is kind of I honestly at this point I forgot what it means, but
Was it backronymed?
There was an acronym. Yeah, it was probably backonymed. But yeah, so why not just improve SIGKit? Well, the main issue with SIGKit is the format itself isn't very it isn't as descriptive as we would like. Currently, SIGKit, or at least in the state that SIGKit was, the only thing that it would store for a match would be the symbol name. We need more info, and not only more info, but about the function match, but also how do we get the function match? How do we actually, identify a possible match? The system and algorithm that was in place was, I'd presume, derived from Flirt, which would take a look at the relocations within a function and determine which instructions to mask off. These instructions would have a constant pointer or something. Things that would obviously change from one version of the binary to the next, or at least when they get relocated would change. So obviously, by being partial function matches, there is conflictions almost like immediately.
There's oftentimes small functions that are going to match multiple things, and we've had issues. Even Flare had similar issues. You have to be really careful not to make your signature overly broad that you get false positives.
And the specific to having to make sure that a signature isn't overly broad doesn't scale well. That was another part of the reason we had to swap our the way we matched. The way of doing a partial function match, you necessarily lose a part of the function. You only for flirt and SIGKit, you would match up to a number of match up until the function became unique internal to the binary or internal to the context. It's not globally unique, and that obviously would cause a lot of issues, especially if you wanted to do something more than just match on these C runtime functions.
Well, as well as Lumina is a somewhat similar idea of let's generate a signature for a function, but now it's a network-based service. And so IDA has Lumina and Flirt and Flare as sort of separate systems. And we had SIGKit, which would have taken us down the similar kind of thing. We were sort of thinking how do we incorporate something that can scale to both network and local.
Right. So that's what Warp is trying to do, and why it's not just a SIGKit replacement. It's also, like Jordan mentioned, going to take the role of something like Lumina, where we're networking these function signatures, and instead of doing IDA or similar tools where they have multiple formats for this, and they're having to manage multiple different matching algorithms or whatever.
We want to consolidate. Yeah.
Consolidate just for ease of use, not just for the developer but for the user.
And these are obviously going to be user accessible too. Users will be able to create their own local ones, maybe even set up their own server internally for organizations.
And then it also works with the remote project system as well. So when it's released, it'll have a feature where you can, for example, if you're inside a project, you can have it set up to automatically pull the signature files from the project. This is particularly useful if you're looking at a specific set of binaries that are all similar. You might just want to generate the signatures for all of them, take the symbols from all of them and just include them in a project, and they'll match.
It's worth pointing out too, you said when it's released. So let me just give a little bit of context, right? We've got, again, a bunch of features each one of these oftentimes will have multiple in them that we're going to be talking about today. If it says test in parentheses, that means it is currently on a test branch. So some of our customers, y'all might be in our test branch. If you're not, and you're an active user who submits lots of good bugs, contact us. We're happy to add more people to it, and we let some of our users. Part of the reason we do it separately is because oftentimes they're very buggy or much more breaking. Even dev changes a lot, but we try to commit only sort of fully functional features, whereas sometimes we'll do early technical previews on test branches, and you often don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes we're just trying to test our build infrastructure, so it's much more unstable really than dev. And so if you want to be on it, you're welcome to get access to it. But all of these will be in our next Helion 5.1 release. And so just as a reminder, if you're not familiar, I can find my browser tab. When you look into our API repo, you go to issues and milestones. You can see the release dates here, right? So currently we've got a July 23rd. That oftentimes will change a little bit, but just a rough estimate of we're looking about a month out before the next stable will be out. And all of these features that we're showing today should be on stable. There may be a couple other ones, major ones that will slip into, but for the most part, this should be the set. Every now and then one of these that we think is here on a test branch takes longer and it doesn't make a release, but that's relatively rare. So this is a pretty good preview of what should make it. And so the goal is to get it at least more usable. Although again, Warp is already in other releases now. You can enable it in the settings, but the goal here is to replace it as the main signature.
And to that point, if you are using Warp on dev right now, I'm sure you'll see a bunch of maybe if you've reported issues, they've all been mostly, for the most part, resolved, or at least looking to be resolved
In
with this release.
this
so
branch and release,
you'll see a lot of things that are hopefully improvements to your workflow. And also the format it'll be a breaking change to this version. There has been quite a bit of changes to the format for a lot of reasons, but
this is one of the reasons it was not on by default.
Exactly,
It was still in
yeah,
testing. And so, all right, let's get into it though. Show me the good stuff.
So
Where do you
we're
want
gonna
me to go?
do the Golang one first because I figure that one's probably the simplest.
All right, which one?
So yeah, so for this, it's just some random Golang malware I pulled from some
the
site.
hash or the one with the version? Which one?
So you want to do 874 AC, and then
the BNB, yeah.
You can do BNB. I'm pretty sure this one doesn't have any. Yeah, so this is a stripped Golang binary.
Yep.
Golang has a lot of just runtime functions. Namely, a lot of the garbage collection stuff is quite cumbersome.
The memory management and all the string operations. Yeah, there's a bunch of that stuff.
And yeah, so we're gonna just start. I mean, see, there's no symbols, but the first thing that you want to do when you encounter something like this, where there are functions that aren't unique to the binary, you can pull them, and like, hey, this is Go. These are probably runtime functions. The best thing to do is to identify what compiler built this binary. So there are a bunch of tools.
There's a bunch of plugins even in the plugin manager.
Yeah. There'll be a bunch of that'll just tell you info, specifically what version of the Go compiler. I just used some random script off of GitHub, but so for this binary, it was built with 1.216. And I just went to the Golang download, and I downloaded the Go compiler. And well, what we're actually going to do is if you open 1.21 Go BNDB, this is actually the actual I don't know if it's the compiler or the toolchain or whatever. This is the
it has
executable.
Symbols and it
has the symbols. Yeah.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to generate the signatures from this.
Oh, cool.
There's a few ways to do this. You can either do it from the sidebar or you can do it from a plugin command. We're just going to do it from the plugin command. If you go up there and then go to warp and then create from view, and then it'll just pop up. You can change all these settings, but for now we're just going to hit browse. There's an issue right now where if you're in a project, the file isn't exactly the correct name.
It's got to use the project browser.
but that'll be fixed before it goes out. So you just put it wherever, and then we're going to load it. So yeah, just
put it here in the desktop Helion folder where everything else is.
That works.
Okay.
And then you just hit OK.
We had to generate a report too.
And then this is going to run in the background. It takes a second, but it's much quicker than if you've used Ghidra's stuff. So
not that long. It's almost done.
Yeah.
If that progress is accurate.
It's accurate.
There you go. Done.
And then it'll freeze for a second while it generates a report. And then you'll be able to save these too. For example, if you're uploading these to a Git server or something and you wanted to be able to associate this binary blob, which is the warp file, with what it's actually in it. So you'll see that also we have a notion of chunks within these files. What those are complete separate
compile units, or
they're chunks in the sense that each one of those contains information that isn't necessarily required for another piece of info. So signatures can exist separate from types.
Okay.
So those obviously.
Oh, and that was one of the other changes with SIGKit, right? So SIGKit was just the symbol; it would just give you a name. Then you had to have a separate type library to turn that symbol. So whereas this can be
is both
complete, a collection of types as well as.
Yeah, and then if you wanted to, we could have a option that says, hey, just give me the types for this binary, and then put those in a warp file and then load those. There's many different ways you can do this. You'll see that we don't have any types for this binary. That's obviously because they're just symbols.
Yeah, in this case, it was a debug binary just with symbols.
Exactly.
But it could have had one with
if you've annotated it or
if
there's a PDB or anything, those types will exist. One of the key improvements to the format for this version is it'll how do you say this? It'll reuse already existing type data across every single type. So if you, for example, had a NTR or name type ref to let's say foo or something, and that was referenced from 100 different types or whatever, that NTR only exists once. It's all deduplicated.
Does that even include system type libraries? If it actually references
anything in the type chunk will be deduplicated. It's done when at the construction of the chunk. So a lot of types that you create, they'll be minimized in the format. So
All
yeah,
right, so I've made my my warp library.
yeah. So now you can just go back to the.
Galen, by the way, points out like you should call it the warp core, like ejecting the warp core makes them start. Anyway, sorry.
I mean, we have it's called warp core for the header.
okay.
So
Good.
at least
good.
I got that.
You did. All right. Good.
But yeah, if we go back to the
All right.
the first binary,
the
that
original
one?
over here. Yep.
and then we just go load it. So if you can go to plugins,
Warp.
load file, yeah.
All right.
So previously we didn't have much info, or we didn't have enough options for like, hey, can you do this with the binary? Can you like load this specific part? We're adding those options now to the
before it's just
signature.
SIGKit, just scan everything or nothing.
Yeah.
You got it or you didn't. Yeah.
We're trying to make it for the user just more intuitive. So yeah, you can just go select.
Now, can I also put these in a particular folder in my user folder so that like it will automatically scan those without loading them, or is it all manual currently?
Oh, you mean like if you wanted to put them in their user signatures? Yeah, if you we have a signatures directory. This has been a thing for a while prior to SIGKit or with SIGKit.
As a part of SIGKit, yeah.
We were using the signatures directory, so you just put any warp file in there. And one of the improvements with this version as well, it no longer is, we no longer key off of the platforms folder. So if, for example, you prior to this, we had every single platform have its own folder within there, and it became very tedious for users to understand like where they're supposed to put it.
Yeah.
Especially if, for example, you have firmware. Firmware, like you might have some ELF objects that get like mapped into the firmware, and then it's no longer an ELF. The platform changes from Linux to
so that information now is in the metadata in the file.
Yes.
It's just a bunch of files, and so it's
every chunk has a quote unquote target, which is not it is right now just architecture and platform.
Sure.
But in the future we could have like, you know, is it
compiler?
Rust?
Yeah,
compiler,
exactly.
Like it's very easy to change.
Makes sense.
But yeah, so you could just select go 1, 2, whatever, and then you should be able to load it.
Okay.
And then it'll just rerun the matcher, and then you'll see it'll start picking up.
And they're marked as library symbols too. So
it's
yellow.
And then we can go to the sidebar as well. If you go to the right side, we added another sidebar here.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what this is just it's a simple sidebar to show you all of the info that Warp's currently like picked up. If you just click on a function there, and then just go to current function.
You even give us a little globe icon.
Yeah. So another issue with current like solutions is they don't really give you much info to understand like where did this come from, right? So that's why we're trying to tag everything and being explicit about it, because obviously this is not exact.
Did it come from debug information in the file itself? Was an external match to the library?
It can become confusing for users. So tagging it and make sure it's like very obvious that this came from some signature library, and you know that it's a possibility that this might not be what it is. But in this case, it is, because these are pretty large functions. If you go to the current function tab though, you should be able to just see all the matches that were similar to this function.
Now, what do you mean? So when you say similar, like, is this like a confidence rating that had to match, or
so this is all the functions with the same GUID. So if you right-click on the function within the view, and you just go down to plugins, and then warp function, copy GUID, you'll and then go to the log. It'll show you the log. Sorry, it's not very helpful. You'll see that everything's associated through this GUID. This is how we identify like possible functions. Again, this is an exact function matching thing, so it'll take all of the bytes and hash it, obviously with masked and blacklisted instructions removed so that it actually can match. But yeah, so actually we can even show that as well. We added a render layer as well, so if you go down to low-level IL,
let me actually switch this one.
Yeah, you can go down, and then go to the render layer, and then should be one for warp.
Yep.
So if you enable this render layer,
oh, that's what created the signature?
Yeah, it tells you exactly what was masked and what was blacklisted. This is particularly useful for architecture plugin developers. If you are trying to, for example, add an architecture, you really want to make sure that all of these the patterns that you're generating,
these blacklisted then, because
those are masked.
They're masked off.
Basically, anything red would be zeroed.
Okay, makes sense.
And anything yellow is blacklisted. Blacklisted instructions are ones that are possibly inserted by a compiler. For example, on x86, They add hot patching instructions at the top of some functions.
Like the movie DIDI.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those will be emitted.
But you don't want to consider it for a match because it's just noise.
It's noise, yeah. So like basically anything that's an effective no-op would be considered blacklisted.
And now this is information. It's a valid call, but it's like the destination could change.
Exactly, yeah. Anything variant that's the word, variant. And there's been a few improvements to like detecting variant instructions as well. We'll get into that with another example. But yeah, if you just click on any of those 32 functions on the side,
here?
Yeah. It'll give you info on what exactly, like, so obviously this function, there's 32.
It's missing theme colors too.
I'm sorry. The colors are
This is also a little bit more internal. I don't think most people would even have to dig into this.
Well, so it actually is pretty useful. For example, if you didn't match on a function, like we automatically detected what function this was based off the number of matched constraints. But if you have like 100 functions, like it's a small function, and you have 100 of them, and there's three functions that all had the exact same number of matched constraints, then you would have to go in and disambiguate manually.
Sure, choose which one.
Right.
Now, so Ninja, real quick, to answer your question in chat, Ninja asked if it takes into account reference data, and I'm just seeing a global data pointer right here as an example of something that's masked off, right? Or where that's variant, and so.
Yeah, so if you're talking about, like, let's say, yes, so the constraints are, some of those constraints are reference data, or specifically referenced code. We could have, some constraints. Constraints are very easy to add, but for example, if you have a call to a function, a function that is called, we'll create the function's UID for that, and then store it as a constraint.
Relationship.
It gives you a relationship, and also it's not just called functions; it's adjacent functions.
Oh, interesting.
So function locality is a thing as well.
Makes sense.
Especially, obviously, with the object files being generated, you would necessarily have them next to each other.
They're all loaded. Yeah.
But yeah, so like for user, if you needed to, you can go to this current function list, and even if you didn't match.
Oh, sorry. So real quick, Ninja was saying a function that references unique strings, for example. So are you saying inline strings, like the things that are compiled
like I see what it's saying. Yeah. That I mean, we have a few more that we want to add. One of those is that, yes. There's a few more like strings, vtables.
Where the global pointer, the value at that pointer, essentially is the thing you now want to include in the signature.
The symbol, the symbol, which would be the vtable. The symbol would be it would be identical on either of those binaries, because the vtable, the way we create vtables, the name is consistent. That we would just take the symbol and hash it and make a constraint out of it. That's actually what a few of those constraints are. It's not enough just to hash or just to create this GRD for the function that's been called. You also need to take the symbol, because the function called might not be in the binary, right? So if you're calling extern functions, we still...
By the way, I'm turning off our face cam. I just realized y'all can't see this super well as we've been over top of it, so apologies for that.
So it's not enough just to create a GRD of the called function. You also need the symbol because of an extern function or something. We don't have the contents of the function, but we still have that symbol, right? So because of this, we can include that as a constraint as well.
Constraint. All right, we got a lot more to demo on it, so let's keep going.
Let's see what else was on this one. So yeah, you can see all the symbols and stuff. So let's go to the firmware one, yeah.
And being able to quickly create a database and load it was one of the common use cases we got asked about a lot. That was much more tedious with. So that alone already is a tricked upgrade. But let's go to firmware, and what am I opening? The BNB,
okay, so this one is interesting. So yeah, you want to open the BNB here.
Okay.
So right here, I've already annotated this because there's a few things we have to do. We're going to go back to actually generating it, but I just wanted to show that, yes, if you open a BNB, all of the info that you've accumulated from Warp will save. All of the info now is stored as function metadata.
By the way, hold on real quick. I just got a warning about something being open. I want to restart to make sure I don't have a locked database. Because I had a couple different versions I was juggling, and I don't want to get into a situation where I can't. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, so you'll see that, all of the symbols here are saved. That was another issue. Because of some of the caching with the previous version of Warp, some of the info would be lost between database saves. So now that we're using more consistent like base layer for caching, which is actually just the function metadata, you can go to any of the functions as well, like the ones that have symbols.
Like these library ones.
Yeah. And then you can just do current function dot
this was already
metadata.
matched. Okay.
Yeah, you can just do current function dot metadata. And there's a GUID up there. You can it's just a UUID.
Yeah.
So if you can use Python to take those bytes and convert them to UUID. But anyways, yeah. So all the data is now saved in the database.
We should just update the repr on the Python side. But anyway.
But just for the people that have used it prior, there's no longer an issue. Yeah. That's what I wanted to point out. So yeah, you can go back to we're gonna actually load it now, and then we're gonna make the signatures for it. So yeah, if you click in there and right click with open with options on just the file itself.
Just the raw, the original
one.
Yep.
So there are a few things you'll see on the right side of the notes that you need to do.
Oh, yep.
You just follow those and then.
All right, so we're gonna set the base address to copy this out. Is this gonna be the right one? Do we update it or is this?
Yes, it is the right one. I promise.
No. We had a bug that we actually just fixed on dev where if you copied a value from the header, it would include some non-printable Unicode characters. So that's fixed on latest.
It caused me a great
but it did cause us some grief here because it looked like it was correct, but then would not be. All right, so we've got the address.
So yeah,
and we're set the platform to Linux in particular, so Linux Thumb 2.
Yeah, so this is actually fixed on the next version of Warp, but for now we're just gonna do this. The reason is because again, going back to how the files are saved, the data about
initial analysis hold.
Yeah. Right. So the data about the signatures, the target, the platform is saved within that file, and because it needs to be the same for it to match, we have to adjust it to match the signatures. So yeah, we just add a section there. Just over the entire range is fine.
Is there? I'm trying to remember if you can select the whole thing. I don't remember if you can do this or not. I know we've talked about that. I don't know if we can do this.
That'd be nice though.
So I know you can extend it. Yeah, I don't know if you can. Yeah, somebody even actually just recently filed an issue. They wanted to be able to do a find and then select, instead of custom range, selected bytes, which is a great idea. Which is a similar sort of thing of like where you're in the UI. So we could just select. So the length is going to be that minus the start address because I'm lazy. Oh.
But yeah, this test specifically is one that was came about because Brandon wanted to use Warp and was like, "Why is this not working?"
Yeah, good. That's often how it goes.
Yeah, it was actually like 3 issues in one, but hopefully they're all fixed.
I think I'm missing. There's a better way to do this, I think, but I don't remember offhand. So default semantics, or do you want to make it
default's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So now that we've done that, we can actually go and create our signatures. That's the other file within the folder. And then you can just you can. We're just gonna open it directly.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is just some random firmware for I don't know something.
Something he has.
Yeah. We can actually use a sidebar over there. So we have commands, but also the sidebar will have everything for you. So if you just hit the third one, or is it the second one? Sorry.
Save data to a signature file, load a signature file to match against, run the matcher. So we want to save data to a signature file.
It's the same thing, but it's just easier to get to if you're doing a lot of this. We'll get to how it's integrated in the projects, especially if you're generating a lot of them. You want to use a project for this, but
I'm gonna do none for my report. For now. Okay, and now
it's probably already finished. This is not
it
a lot.
Didn't.
There's only like 300 functions in there.
So actually, same thing. We'll go back to Warp, and we're going to load. That's a good sign, by the way. When which one was this? This was no. When was that file? Where did I saved it right there, didn't I? Hold on, let me see.
You just make it again, I guess.
Browse. Oh, I saved the hash. Yeah, I did.
You can actually save it over it, actually. That's a good idea. If you save it. So it'll ask you if you want to overwrite it. You want to replace it. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, you don't want to keep. The reason you don't want to do that is because it'll duplicate all the functions.
That makes sense. So it's asking if you go and amend it instead of.
Yeah.
All right. So let me see. Oh. Okay. So now I want to load. Oh, I was looking in
There,
desktop.
I already
Helion.
pre-generated all of these
I was
just
in the
in
wrong.
case.
Yeah, I was in the wrong thing in the downloads. That's what I was coming before. Okay, 4C was the other one. Yeah, I loaded the wrong one actually before, but now we're loading the right real live one.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
now its analysis
Oh,
hold is on.
We forgot to load the function. So yeah, actually just turn the analysis hold off.
Yep.
And then let it finish, and then we're gonna. Oh, I guess it already.
Oh
yeah, because so another thing is the way the way loading works now is extremely consistent. We use a workflow that takes all the bundled directories and constructs the appropriate containers with all the data. Naturally, it'll also work if you've put on analysis hold on and then ran it, because then the workflow runs after you've added it, so it works. But yeah, so if you just go and obviously you'll see the match functions now. I don't know if this binary has the specific issues where there's
actually the function symbol list hasn't updated.
Hasn't updated?
Oh wait, hold on. Match functions. Yeah, it didn't quite.
Oh, you know what it is? Yeah. So I think I know what happened here. The functions, the function matcher probably
matched, but the functions didn't exist yet, so they couldn't actually. It was pretty easy to rerun it. So
yeah. But yeah. Let's see. I guess that's a little visual issue. But I'll fix that later.
No worries. Okay, so now we've got all our matches.
So yeah, this is another case where prior to this, we wouldn't match. There were a few issues, namely just with how the data was cached. Obviously now it works. So if you've ran into issues where the data that you were loading just didn't show up, it should be resolved now. So yeah. We're going to go on to, let's see what else. I think this is the end of the notes, because now we have a few more cool ones.
All right. What we got next?
I think the next one would be Windows.
Windows it is.
So prior to this, our generation speed was quite, how do you say?
But it was Python. Let's just say it was Python.
Yeah, it was quite slow. I don't recall the exact time it would take to generate, like, for example, all of MSVCRT.
Yeah.
But now it's pretty quick. So we're actually just going to generate all of these at the same time using the project command. So if you right click.
Ooh. Select all. Should I select them all first?
Actually, the way it works is off a filter. That's for archives of libraries exist with files inside of it. We want to be able to filter inside of those archives as well. So we have a filter. So if you just hit from project, so you can, it's both a substring match and a regex match.
Okay, so I can just leave it like MSVCP,
yeah, you can,
probably, or should I use MSVC?
You just MSVC, I guess.
Yeah.
It won't generate a report right now. I disabled that because it was extremely like
yeah, for that.
Yeah, it was
That's
pretty. But yeah, you can just generate now.
All those. Okay. Now, is it going to also load the PDBs for all these files before it does that?
It'll do what the so
I think the default auto analysis does load the PDB.
Exactly.
Right?
It'll do exactly what the default load routines would.
We need a much more complicated status UI widget. We need like a task.
So actually, yes, we need especially because there's actually more tasks that are running underneath that one.
Hold on, it says processing 1338 files. Is that because it's identifying
there's a library
within them?
Yeah.
Oh, the .lib. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there's 1,300 files that it's going through right now.
And it's almost done already.
Yeah.
Nice.
So now it'll generate that out. We're not going to do anything with this really. I just wanted to show that we have better a better user experience for this.
Yeah.
We're going to use this internally too for just generating all of our signature libraries.
B- dash has a question. It's really important. Would you say that now with the improvements, it's running at warp speed?
Yes.
Well done.
Very good. But yeah, so this will accommodate in more signature libraries being generated and bundled with the product.
Yeah.
Obviously, the user experience is not just better for the users, but also
that means
for us.
we're more likely to use it.
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
So hopefully this will mean better just overall. Everyone wins. But yeah, so let's go to Rust now because this one's fun.
All right. Yeah, Rust.
So what we're gonna do is this is a little bit of a contrived example because I have both the symbols and the not. I have it both stripped and not stripped with symbols. So but it still applies, right?
Yeah.
So it's yeah. So we're gonna do we're not gonna open a binary right now. We're just gonna go generate the signatures. The way Rust does their libraries, they have just a regular archive. They call it an rlib.
Mm-hmm.
Inside that rlib, they really only ever have one object file.
So it's not like an AR that has...
Yeah. But to show what I did was I opened the bin search binary and I searched for strings. Not the rlib, sorry. The other bin search unstripped. It actually takes a while, so do the non-marked up PNDB right below it. Yeah, that one. So if you just went to the strings, oh, did I mark this? No, I didn't. Hopefully I didn't mark it up.
No.
Maybe I did. If you go to the strings view, and you just search for like 1.83.
Yeah, the compiler.
The compiler, yeah. Yeah, obviously get a lot of noise. There are a bunch of tools online, just like Go.
You built that on your box, I see.
I did.
Yeah,
It's a very contrived example.
It's fine.
If you just go and look online, there's a bunch of things that'll extract exact versions of libraries and tool chains from Rust. And from that, you can go and download and pull all these together and grab the library. So that's what I did.
Yep.
I did it separately from the generation.
So first you built it, and then you went off.
And then I went and find the So I found a few. Those are all the ones that I found. So if you just go and right click, do the same project signature generation thing.
Okay.
And then I just say dependencies will probably be fine.
Oh, that's nice. It works on the full path, so you can.
Yeah, it'll
way.
flatten it out, and then.
Yeah, you said it doesn't do it anyways, but.
So in the bottom of if you look at the bottom, you'll see that there's 4 numbers.
Yeah.
From left to right, it's unprocessed, analyzing, processing, and finished. Analyzing is when it's being analyzed by Binary Ninja. Processing is when it's being processed by Warp. So if you're seeing, for example, you have 14 worker threads, you'll probably see 14 analyzing, right? Because you naturally don't have any more.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so welcome.
So we generated the signature.
So we've got all of our signatures, and it should.
And now we got to figure out which one it was.
It's the more recent one, so it's this one. So let's just rename this to Rust 1.83.8.3.
And we're actually gonna have to extract this out. Again,
this is a temporary thing. So if I just export selected, and I put that here too, that folder works. All right, so now I've got it. Now if I open up, is it the bin search one was the original one you did, or the lib bin search?
The one that's unstripped. Just do bin search BNDB.
Oh, the BNDB.
Sorry. Unstripped is not the one you want. You want the stripped one.
Yeah. No.
I did it the other way. Usually you use the other one. Not the rlib, sorry. The dilib.
There.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Sorry, I was being
you're good. You're good. All right, but now I should just be able to go and.
You want to let it finish analysis first? It'll
be done before it'll be done before I do it.
It's a decent.
I do need to name
binary.
it .warp. So I didn't name it .warp.
I don't know if it matters.
It does.
Does it?
It
right, because it has the filter. Yeah.
So let's try again.
Now you run into an issue where it's
Just have to open the dialog. Yeah, we might just want to.
You can load it, and then we can run analysis again. You can. So if you hit open. If you
I was gonna wait until.
Well, see, but you have a in the form you can disable running the matcher afterwards.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. So don't run the. Well, it's already done now, but
yeah. The reason you want to do that is if you have a bunch and you're trying to load them all, you don't necessarily want to run the matcher each time, right?
Yeah.
So now.
So now I can run here to run the matcher. Okay. I did notice, by the way, beta feature again, currently testing. I think in the last one it completed, but this stayed in the stop the matcher icon.
Yeah, I think I might have screwed something up recently with that.
All right. So that was actually the matcher was done very early. That was actually just analysis, I think.
I think it'll tell. I forgot if I enabled. If you scroll in the log, I think it tells you how long it takes. Sorry, the other one.
Oh yeah, the actual log. No, I thought that was my fault.
67 milliseconds.
67 milliseconds. Yeah, and then the
it's pretty optimized.
So yeah, that's a pretty smart.
We don't want to.
Did you really measure in microseconds?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if it's going that fast, very nice.
If you had to refresh, there's another issue.
I don't see.
Just hit refresh at the top right.
Oh, this one there. Yeah. Okay.
So this binary actually does have some types. So you'll see
Yeah.
that we annotate it with the text tokens. Yeah. So again, just like Go, we have a lot of runtime stuff, but also just library stuff. So you'll see it all there. Again, I maybe should have brought another example that has more complex types.
Yeah,
we can
cool.
actually annotate, if you want, we can annotate a binary and we can show off. We also
I have a whole rest of the stream I got to get to.
really?
So...
Okay. Well, to end it, we have more.
You can write up a blog post and show.
We have
people all the
more
rest of the features.
data also that's stored when you match a function, namely comments and variables. So if you annotate a binary with comments, they'll apply now, which is good. And then there was another thing as well.
Valgrind, this is Mason. Mason is showing off Warp. Welcome. Good to see you back.
Hello. I swear there's another thing I wanted to show.
Check your notes. You got time. We'll go back and look over the list. And then we had a miss folder. Was there anything in there you wanted to?
Oh yeah, this is the one. So if you go there, open it, and then go to the address that I listed in the project. This is the one that shows off the new the matching stuff.
Which I still have the render layer turned on. So is it this one? Wait, where? Where am I going?
Oh yeah, on the right side.
Yeah, because it's disassembly. Hold on.
Oh, you know what? I have another change for Tricore. So this is actually exactly what I was talking about, where architecture developers can go in and make sure that they're emitting the correct stuff. This is a move high with address instruction that should be collapsed into a constant.
Into a single.
When it happens
pointer.
to do that, both of those instructions will be masked. The first one, obviously, the last version of Warp would match because it would be a constant pointer pointing to something.
But the offset would not have been.
The offset wouldn't. Now it does. So for
it will if the architecture author
is not dumb.
It can be tricky, but yeah.
Right. So this is why the render layer exists. Obviously, it's not an exact. You have to. There is some rules that you have to follow.
Yeah. So you can see what was and wasn't.
Yeah. So for this specifically, RISC-like architectures do this a lot.
Yeah.
And we just did not. We weren't able to support it. Now we are, and it's very generic. I'll link to the GitHub.
Now I'm curious how Flirt and Flare handle that.
So, this is a really good point. For firmware, both Flirt and SIGKit are basically useless. The reason is because they require relocatable data
to tell them where things have changed.
Right.
They can't tell when it's statically
exactly.
blob where it actually
Whereas
is.
Warp, the restriction is that it cannot know. It has no actual info about the relocated data.
Okay.
So it works it will work regardless of whether that data exists or not. There are a bunch of other things. I'm just gonna link to the repo where the format and all of the spec stuff is
put it in the stream channel of the public Slack so people can catch it there if you're curious, or you can put a comment I guess on the.
I'm just gonna
video
throw it in the YouTube and then I'll put it on the Slack.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean there's a bunch of other stuff. I don't know if I will be able to showcase it before the release, but we'll have a networked server. So if you've been looking for a open source Lumina alternative, we'll have all of that available.
And to be clear, the goal here is to make it actually cross tool. So
the ultimate goal is everyone is using this.
Ghidra, IDA, and Binary Ninja can all use the same.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So I don't think there's really anything else to show, but I'll just leave everyone for the other features.
Give me your mic before you leave. So you're
That's
not
also
a
very good idea.
I spent enough time on mic to make sure.
I would have left.
The worst part is when you're worried about going to the bathroom or something and making sure you really better remember it. All right, thank you very much, Mason, for coming in. Let's go. Yeah, we have lots more stuff to show. If you didn't save the best for last, we just put that one right up front. One of the biggest features, I think that's really exciting. It should be useful on its own. And hey, Brian, welcome. So what was that? Which feature were you? Oh, the cross-platform thing. Yeah, that was one of our design goals from the beginning, is we wanted to make sure it supported all the tools. We'd love to make a community repository of all of these things. We want to have a network service that can automatically pull down and query, and like there's a whole bunch of plans we'd love to do to make that the best possible kind of library matching system. And you can see obviously the usability is significantly improved previously. Leland, yeah, the idea is that you could have your own server as well. Like we plan to run a community one that we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff on, and we can encourage other people to add to. But you will also be able to just run your own separately. So that's very much that will not be in this stable release, but I think that's scheduled for the next stables. We'd like to have that some of the network stuff. It may be longer. It could be a big task, especially again when we're signing up to like write plugins for all the other tools. But we specifically designed the implementation, the matching, and again, the current system is open source, right? So you can actually go and see how Warp does this stuff. Where was it here? It's all written in Rust, and the goal is to make this a system that would work with other tools as well too. So that's why one of the things he mentioned even about like relocations, and every tool can do them slightly differently, and how do you kind of handle that? So there may be things that we run into trouble as we start to kind of build it out with other tools, but at least that was the intention. It's designed to be cross-platform. So that's pretty exciting. I think Warp is one of the biggest features, but plenty more to go in 5.1. So these 4 features I've kind of got categorized into this state of HLIL or linear view improvements. So let me switch over to dev over here. And one thing that I just filed with them is I really want this to remember what I have open. So this optimization overrides, this is there's a whole series of changes you'll see here that really are just about letting you customize and improve the way that we present the data to you. So several of these are done at the high-level IL layer. So like sort of decompilation tweaks where you want to like improve. We make a bunch of optimization passes on our transformations when we're doing high-level IL. So for example, one thing we'll do is we'll try to make things do an early return, because it's often cleaner in your code to see like an if something return, and then everything else is just the main body of the function, as opposed to a big if else that happens to have a return. You're increasing the amount of indentation. So that's just one example. Like if I open this one up here and go to that early return address, we can see this is a function where we've done that. We've chosen to do an early return here, but like maybe for whatever reason you don't want to do that. So you can actually come and set the early return to like, you can customize how it's done, or you can just prevent it entirely. So like, don't do that. And so now everything's indented and you don't have to worry about that. It will just default to it on the outside. This may or may not be better, right? It depends very much on what you're decompiling as to whether that's a thing you want. It's impossible to know perfectly, which is why we've built the system, we've optimized it, we have defaults, but then you can tweak it. And so we're starting to expose more of those, which is really nice. Related to that is you can do things like inversion, or actually, sorry, switch case. Maybe you've got a switch case that you'd rather not see as a switch, but actually if then else's. We make it easy for you to control that. And you can say like, no, I really want that if else chain, right? For this particular rendering, it just changes that representation layer there. So, oh yeah, exactly. The server implementation itself will also be open source. Yep. And again, all 3 platform clients, the goal is to as well. So that's 2 examples there that Rusty's been working on. And again, these 4 little test cases I'm showing here, part of this part of the demo, these are on dev. So you can try these out right now on the development branch if you've got an active license. So here's another one where, actually I think that one would have worked too, but we have this like, is it TTY not equal to that? We have some stuff, and then we have like an else. We could instead actually invert this, right? So we can actually go to our show condition as inverted, and now it's equal to that. And so we've changed the logic out. We've moved stuff around. Maybe that you find that cleaner and easier to read. So it lets you kind of invert that, which is a useful thing. And then you can also prevent expression folding. So we quite often, well, I could probably even scroll and find another example, but we'll quite often have like a call to a function where we'll see another function was a parameter. So let's see, yeah, like this one, the signal here call, this third parameter is actually another call that we've decided, look, that return is only used here as a parameter, so we're just going to inline it. Sometimes maybe that makes it look worse. Sometimes it makes it look better. You can now control that. And so you can say, do not allow expression folding here. And so you're going to get this this value here. Oh, actually that one. Yeah, there we go. So it's putting it into that pointer right there, right? So you've got control over that. And again, you would have already seen in like medium level IL that probably would have been the same. It just gives you a little bit more ability to tune the decompilation to clean it up, make it a little more readable depending on what you're looking at. Right, so that's the kind of optimization overrides. Again, these are specific to high level IL. And I do think, just as a side kind of reference, we've got a lot of stuff on the right click menu here. All of those were available via the what was it? Expression folding. You can prevent default. Yeah, you can actually. Where was it? I think I didn't have this. Oop, what I hit? Go back. You can access via these via the command line, command palette rather. So, like if I want to allow that to happen, let it inline, and now I want to say actually like prevent expression folding, right? I could do it via the command palette too. So you can bind it to a hotkey. You can do all that stuff that you would expect to be able to do. All right. This is actually one of our very oldest issues. This is crazy. If you look at this, this is actually issue 185. And our intern last summer, Zichuan, actually implemented, was that even last summer or was that prior to that? Let me see, I gotta, created by, oh no, not created by, where's that? I'm not sure what happened there. Oh, that comma definitely did not do good things here. So 2016 was the original creation of this one. But the idea is that like, hey, you oftentimes want to be able to name these labels. Binary Ninja just kind of hides them. You could get to them if you had like a jump target, and after jump target, you could maybe do it, but it wasn't showing them. And so now with this branch, so this is one of those that's on a test branch. It's waiting for a pull request review. And if I can find this, we can actually go in. There is a setting. And actually, let me close down my other copy before I lock my database, running local copies. And basic block labels. Yeah, anything will do. Actually, we can just open up a recent one. So let's open up that. And we can see we've got all these labels here for each of the basic blocks. So it's off by default, even on this test branch. I forget the exact name of the setting. Show block labels. So we're still trying to figure out the best way to handle that. Do we show them if they have a name, if a symbol exists? Do we show them all the time? Do we, what the default should be kind of in this is something we're still sort of thinking about. But yeah, so if you wanted to like name these, you can see both graph and linear view. You can add basic block labels. So that's a nice little feature that's actually been requested quite a while ago, and that one, yeah, should be landing on this release. Next up, we have ternary support. So this is actually more similar to the first batch, right, where we're looking at like improving the sort of readability of the decompilation and giving you more control over that. And so this is another one over here on a test branch right now. Oh wait, is it? Yeah, simplify HLIL to ternary. All right. So for this one, I don't remember if I had a. Yeah, okay, there's a demo for this one. Yeah, so this is a good example where you can see this one, for example, is a, basically exactly what you'd expect to see. It's a ternary. It's an if this, then store this, otherwise this. And so now it's going to show that a little bit more concisely here in this setting. There's also, you'll notice this other one doesn't, because there's this other if-else chain, right? So there's limits on the analysis where it might make it more complicated to try to inline it and include it. And so we do that there. There's also, I think there's a setting here. I should actually check my notes, right? I have all these notes for a reason. Yeah, so here it is, max ternary simplification tokens. So in other words, if there's too many tokens, we decide that actually doesn't help readability, and so we don't want that to be turned into a ternary. But you can see these as examples where it does. It can make it much more readable, right? So nice little quality of life improvement there. What else is next? This one is actually one of my favorite ones, probably. So the next one is string wrapping. This has been a long time coming. A lot of people are excited about this. And the related feature here is the default string length. So if you use Binary Ninja for a while, you're very familiar with the fact that like the default string length is like 32 characters. And beyond that, you can change the settings. You can go to, you know, set your max string length. Where is it? Maximum max string annotation length. So this used to be, it's 32 on the current version because it would just be one super long line. We did add some really good line wrapping for the decompilation, the view itself on the last stable, or the one before that, I forget, one of the last two stables. But this one actually fixes string rendering as well. So now if we find one of these binaries, I think we have one here that has a bunch of long strings, and you can see like by default, it's going to wrap these nicely. And because again, the default was cranked up to 512, you can still tweak it. You can make it even bigger if you want. We haven't totally decided what the usability is here for that. Oh yeah, the select the string, the space token is going to highlight space tokens, but you can see kind of the way that line wraps. And this you'll notice here is sort of like we debated different rendering view, but I think if I go to Pseudo-C, yeah, so this is, I think, one thing that remains to be done is really this should be like done with C-style string continuations, like backslashes, right? To do that there. Actually, Pseudo-Python, which I don't think I've installed, should do pluses too. If we actually did that, but so that's stuff that could be improved a little bit on. But this helps a ton for just the default look. If you just open a binary, seeing this as opposed to if I go open on stable or just dev where that doesn't exist. And I go that same thing, it is so much more annoying, right? Like this is just so much better. So I'm a huge fan of that particular feature. I'm very excited to get that one on there. It's a little thing, but oftentimes the little stuff are the most helpful for quality of life. So that is a great one. All right, I lost my to-do list because I closed it down. Where'd it go? That's the only downside to having my to-do list in the project itself. All right, Ternary Support, string wrapping. All right, Python APIs. This is our last one, I think, on test branches, and then everything else I organize, so it should be on dev builds. So this one is right here. So wait, no, hold on. It's not the last one. We have architectures too. I was like, wait, I know we have a couple more. So yeah, this one is basically workflows. We've talked about for a long time how workflows are sort of the future of improving our analysis. We expose, we let you rewrite and modify how the decompilation happens. And that's true, and they exist, and they're really powerful. We are using them internally for a lot of things like Objective-C and for a lot of language, language specific stuff. We can customize decompilation even as a plugin. We can implement this stuff as open source plugins to make them language specific. And but we always tell people like, oh, but don't use Python. Like there's some issues. Python's slow, but also like the APIs weren't really kind of well structured for that. That's now fixed, or it's in the process of being fixed. And so Glenn has this set of features on a test branch. And oops, no, let's go here. So let's go Python API, and let's see. So there is a plugin that goes along with this. So let me first talk about what this is. So this is, I don't know if you actually asked John. John, a former intern of ours many years ago and a good friend, wrote a plugin called, or wrote an open source obfuscation library, obfuscating compiler called Limoncello. It's Limoncello, is it lemon or lemon? Anyway, I wonder if we actually, I think we linked to it, right? Is this? It is limoncello, so I'm getting completely nerd sniped. Yeah, okay, so in my head I want it to be, but I guess it's probably just Italian, so it actually is limoncello. So this is the plugin here, and he never really kind of finished it. It was sort of a proof of concept thing, but it's a nice little obfuscating compiler that Glenn decided to use as a test case for what if I wanted to implement some changes to the data flow in Binary Ninja to improve the analysis of that. And so, all right, what am I looking at? Is this the right thing? No, that's the old one. So let me open up the database here. No, I just want to open the original file so we can take a look at it. So for example, I think there's like a state machine, right, where it's going to have a big switch statement, right? And this is a very common, like for a VM-based state machine, where you have like just a bunch of big switch statement that just obfuscates the control flow. Well, Glenn has implemented. What was the name of the plugin? I should go read my notes. Oh, right, yeah. So this also uses the a new feature called quick settings, and these are also still in development. These are coming on dev right now, and they're still being built out. But the idea is that you can. Hang on, let's see. Let me see, lemon. Did I spell it wrong here? Where's the setting? Oh, is it case sensitive? I didn't think it was. No, is it really? No, I spelled it wrong. That's why I thought. I didn't think it was case sensitive. So there's this extension that you can see that we can enable. We can turn on this this thing, or we can open it with options, right? So we can also just do it that way, and we can turn on. You know, I've done this before, so it's remembering my settings there. So I can turn on that. Oh, I do have two things open, don't I? Hold on, what am I doing? I may have, yeah, I always do this. I have to remember to close down. This is only a problem for us where we have different versions of Binary Ninja and we run those on the same project. Normally enterprise, normally we have one copy running it. It will reopen the existing thing. So this is very much a developer bug. And we can see now, however, we've got this while true and we're seeing this control flow here. Oh, now we're seeing actual functionality, right? It's looking for whether this thing is evenly divisible for the remainder. And sure enough, numbers is a multiple of that. So like we're actually seeing decompilation that makes sense for these comparisons, as opposed to the sort of weird state machine based system that we saw before. So this plugin, actually, I haven't even really looked at the source, but here it is. Here's the Python. This will be in the examples. We have already many examples just in our API repo, and so you'll be able to. When this lands on dev, it will exist over here in the Python examples folder. And there's a couple other like cool features. So one, awesome, you can write your own custom deobfuscator. There was a great blog post about working with mobfuscator years ago from Ret2. There's a bunch of these deobfuscation tasks that are going to necessarily be kind of one-off and specific to a particular target, and now you can implement those in Python, which is much nicer. So there's a bunch of APIs coming to help that, bugs being fixed and stuff that Glenn's working through to get this enabled. And so this is the kind of one motivating example. I'm getting there, Glenn. I won't forget. I was excited by it too. That's when I got excited a second ago. So this is the plugin. But one of the coolest things about this too is that y'all may have seen the debug report UI I've shown before. Debug reports are I want the default one. Yeah. I think in snippets I have, don't I have it in? I think I have a debug report. I just want to show the built-in one first in case somebody's not familiar with it, but there is a HLIL debug. Yeah. So here's the command. That will give you like you could have looked at our decompilation and how our decompilation worked, in particular the high-level IL and the transformations it did in this thing called a flow graph report, which showed all of the transformations over time. It was really cool and neat, but you couldn't use it. It was kind of built in, and we implemented internally, and that's now been abstracted to something that user plugins can access. So if I look here, I've actually got this. I can get the debug report for unflatten, the plugin. The plugin can register the zone. We really, by the way, need to add a UI for this now, especially now that it's extensible. We had it documented before. It was kind of under the hood. But if we actually look at the unflatten report for this particular function, we can see the transformations that the workflow did to modify this, right? So this is the Python script that cleaned up, modified the data flow, changed things so that the analysis could work more smoothly across it. So that's super, super nice. And I mentioned briefly those quick settings. So these quick settings are going to live in the right-click menu, the command palette. But the idea is that you may have like you want settings, some of these settings you want to exist per function. And we haven't had a good way for plugins to do that extensively previously. And so this is now letting other plugins extend out and add this. And so this example here, we've got the unflattened, this kind of proof of concept is using that. So we've got a quick setting. We've also got this debug report, which is super neat. So the fact that plugin authors can do this, and it really makes it super useful. We knew workflows were going to be really, really effective, and we're giving you better tools to instrument to visualize it, to test it, to build it out, and be able to use Python, which is super nice. So, oh, Kyle was talking about that. Nice. Oh, great. You're taking the training. Fantastic at Recon. I'll see you then. I'm flying up there tomorrow, so I'll see you for the class on Thursday. Talal, that's unfortunately a topic longer than I could cover here briefly, but you should join the Binary Ninja Slack, slack.binary.ninja, and there's a channel called what is the channel called? Ninjas in Training is our sort of newbie reverse engineering channel. Ask questions there. We'd love to have you to post just general reverse engineering questions. It's not just for people using. I got it. It's already actually at my house. I brought it home earlier today. So okay, now I know who you are. Good to see you. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you again. All right, so let's see. That is that's this really nice set of features coming in the API changes right there. All right. Next up, multiple architecture changes and improvements coming in. So first, a big one is that PowerPC. We've long been using a plugin that was based on Capstone, and it was kind of meant more as a proof of concept originally to show that you could build your own architecture and you could wrap Capstone and implement some lifting and you could get a kind of quicker way to get an architecture, but it was never as robust as our homegrown ones in a lot of ways, and we couldn't extend it as easily because of the way that it was built, and that's been changed. So now we have another test branch here. We have our own homegrown PowerPC architecture. So, excuse me, we have, I think this was done by somebody we've worked with. I think it was outside the company who's done a number of architectures that we've contracted out before, who did the base architecture. I don't want to say it in case I'm wrong, but Galen then internally has been working with it and landing it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Galen, if you're still in chat there, but I think that was the use case. But the idea is that we've not only kind of got our own ground up PowerPC, but then we can do better things like implement VLE instructions. So if I pull open one of these binaries, literally I was like, well, which ones are like the new VLE instructions? He's like, literally all of them, all of these ESE, all of these lifting here. This decompilation wouldn't work. Actually, here, let's just try it. Let's just go open up in dev and we can open up the same binary. Yeah, okay, then clearly, yeah, you can see pretty clearly right there that VLE was not great before. Yeah, that's a huge difference. Nice little side-by-side there, the before and after. So that's coming very soon. Like I said, it's available on the test branch now. Hopefully we'll get that on dev soon. We're debating we might have it side-by-side with the old implementation, so you can choose. We're still kind of figuring out how we do that. That's what it was, Eskildson. Thank you. All right, we confirm that. Yeah, he's done some awesome work for us. So very, very nice. The support is built in, and again, it's a brand new one, so it'll be another open source example architecture, like most of our other ones that you'll be able to extend out. And if you wanted PPC VLE, there you go. So yeah, a couple more things that have been worked on. We have to be very careful to make sure the transition is smooth. In particular, the way that we have like register lists and whatnot, we have to be very careful, or else you'll open up a new version and everything breaks from your previous analysis. So yeah, and it's replacing the PPC that is on all versions. So from not free, but from non-commercial, commercial, ultimate, that we'll all get that. So yep, PPC's in everything. Again, it's just replacing the current one that we already have with this new open source improved one that will let us update it on it. This is a nice little small file there, but yeah, you can see the VLE stuff works. So yeah, all but free, except Cloud. Cloud will have it actually, because we do have all the architectures that actually, I don't remember if we have Ultimate in Cloud. I don't think we do. I think we plan to at some point put it up there, but right now it's commercial is the versions running on Cloud. So at some point we're probably going to do like a trial record, like, hey, the next 2 weeks, like all of the architectures, even the Ultimate ones, are in Cloud, but we haven't done that yet. So thanks to Eskildson and Galen for working on that. Another one, this one is on dev, is the x32. So this is 32-bit instructions on x64. So it's a feature I've been familiar with for a while, but we just recently got support because Brandon has implemented this. Oh no, there we go. I didn't put the notes in here. Okay, so it's like you can open, for example, Netcat, and let's get, is there? Yeah, so it's, oh, that's right. It's the architecture is x32 now. So instead of x86, which was the previous platform we would have seen prior to this this improvement, now it's x32, which is specifically so like current basic block.arch. Yes, it's x64 is the architecture here, but we support, if we go look, let's go see some data pointers. Actually, yeah, here, 32-bit pointers, right? So, or actually, it's just a 32-bit value. Where's a UDP string? Yeah, here we go. There's a pointer. So 4 byte pointer. So we've got 32-bit pointers working in our x64. So that's, yeah, it's a whole, basically another new architecture if you were looking for that before, really. Yeah, so several architectures. PS2 fans, yeah, Galen's working on another one too. Like I said, not all of them are on the stream necessarily, but keep an eye peeled and make sure you come back for the blog. There will be more. So, oh, here we go. Let's go look at this real quick. This is BusyBox as x32, which prior to this architecture existing would not have been pretty. Yeah, because all the function pointers have been wrong. Yeah, our unflattened plugin is still there trying to run on this particular binary. And I'm not surprised that's doing some bad stuff to it. So, all right. Sweet. So I think, yeah, now we're back to just dev. So let me actually disable the plugin in case that's, just disable that and restart and reopen. All right, so let's keep going. We got a bunch more stuff. So architecture changes, yeah. All right, Hideable Sidebars. This one is on dev as of, I think, yesterday it landed. So a lot of folks may not have seen it already, but this is quite nice where you can, we were getting too many things in the sidebar. We had way too many plugins and features. We kept adding things and we didn't want to get into a situation, I will not name names, of other tools that might be a little overly busy and too many things. And so we really wanted to kind of tamp down on that before things got too much more out of control. And so you'll notice there's already far fewer things just shown by default here. And that's because a lot of these things don't make sense in the context when I'm in this view, right? Like I shouldn't need to see user positions if I'm not in a database that's on an enterprise server. That's never going to be useful. And so all of these sidebars can now choose whether or not that they're visible in certain contexts. And I can also just add things to it. I can say, look, I actually don't want to see the stack view. I never use it. I don't want it. I don't want the variable view. Just hide those, right? And then they're going to go over here into the more things, and I can turn them back on later if I want. But you know, it knows there's no file here, and so it wouldn't be able to show anything. And then let's see. Let's just open up. Right. And so even the no function selected, right, could be a feature where it knows not to show the, you know, there's no stack for these functions. This is a terrible choice for a binary. Yeah, so we can now turn these on and off. We've got our little dots over here, and we can control those ones there. So you'll see on the right click on these ones, we've got show, hide if no content, and hide. So you can always show it, you can always hide it, or you can say like, look, if it doesn't have anything, which is the default for the user chat, right? Because I'm not connected to a database. Actually, am I on a database server? I did open a BNDB on a database server. So actually user, oh, that's right. That's why it's showing up. Yeah, so the reason the chat's showing up now as an option is because I am on the server. So if I switch over to another local file, actually, I don't know if I have one locally. Well, let's just open binOS. All right, if I open any other file, that'll go away, right? We won't have the chat icon, right? And so I can control that all through here. And actually notice, by the way, when I turn on variables in the stack, they're still defaulting to hide. I just have one time shown them, but I can still, you know, control their behavior separately from that. So now I put them back to show, so they'll always be there, but you'll notice the user positions are still gone because I'm not in a thing where it makes sense. So look for us to be cleaning up. And if you're a plugin author and if you've built stuff, hey, welcome. How's it going, Josh? It's killer, man. Every release, I'm telling you, like we get like the list of things in this release. I always say it, but it's a little tedious at this point. But just the number of actual like noticeable features, I think for people here is pretty crazy. So and we're not even done. We got 3 more to go. So yeah, welcome. Catch the VOD later, and definitely let me know. Yeah, what you're thinking. So yeah, that's really kind of subtle, but like we'll really clean things up. And again, if you're a plugin author and you have these sidebar widgets, you can now have more control over whether or not it's shown, I think, which is really nice. And you can say whether or not your view has data or not, and then control whether or not you're automatically there, and just make it a better default experience, right? Like that's the goal there. So excited for that. All right. Let's see what else was next. Oh, memory usage. So another major feature that we shipped on dev several months ago now, I think, was we were doing some profiling investigation and really found a source of some memory efficiencies that we could gain. And so we have I just realized there's two of the same power cables next to me. Sorry, easily nerd sniped. We really improved the memory usage. So if you have run out of memory or had a problem with a machine with less memory, we're still not as memory efficient as maybe other tools are. We don't have any like on-disk serialization, for example. Theoretically, that also means we can be faster if we're not doing that, especially on a machine with a lot of cores. And so but we've dramatically improved memory, especially on things with lots of types, lots of debug information or type libraries. You should see some pretty significant improvements. So definitely let us know if you still have examples where you're seeing really kind of poor memory utilization, but that is a major improvement there. Also, you can use exclamation marks in project names. Oh yeah, that's a small little bug. I mentioned this earlier. That's right. If you copy this value before, you got nulls, and so now it's been turned into a clickable label that copies. So that is on dev right now too. All right, actually, wait, Mark, are you still on? Joe, so the Tuesday stream is because this is a feature stream, so it's not always the regularly scheduled time, and I'm going to be at Recon this Friday, so it wouldn't have worked for me. But good to see you, man. It's been a while. We should catch up. So yeah, we'll be if you're at Recon, would love to hang out. I mean, Leland, I'm not saying you can't still do it. I'm just saying it should be harder than it used to be to Umit. So let me know, depending on your box. Also, just make swap, man. You should have swap. If Mark, I hope you're still here. B-Dash has implemented this. We just got a PR out of nowhere that there's now a Pseudo-ObjectiveC. So if I open the calculator, I love how it says it's a Java file, macOS calculator app, and we look at the decompilation, we've made a lot of improvements to Objective-C and the Objective-C default workflow in the last stable, so it's much cleaner. However, there is now an even better view if you are an Objective-C aficionado. We can actually show it as Objective-C, and so this is on dev again already right now. Yes, you're here. Welcome. So thanks again for this PR. In fact, if people want to go kind of check it out, again, it's an open source plugin, and where was it? You can go look it up. Actually, just look at our pull requests, closed, sudo. You can go see it yourself and see that commit that got landed. There's also some more examples. I mean, like the difference here is just pretty undeniable. You can see just how much cleaner it is. To actually, when you have language specific things. And so that was very much the goal, to have the language layer, to have workflow improvements that will change how the analysis happens in the binary view, to have things loaded there. Like we're getting to really all sorts of really nice language specific stuff. So keep an eye out for future things with a lot of other languages as well happening here. Wait, did I miss something? I did miss something. I apologize, Brandon. I almost missed it. Okay, sorry. I was just thinking about new architecture support, and it reminded me. I'll talk about that in a second. So yeah, so thanks to Mark for implementing this. Again, you can go look at the PR here if you want to see how it's implemented. It modified our existing pseudo-C and added Pseudo-ObjectiveC. So that's shipping enabled. Cat merged that a little bit ago, and so yeah, very nice improvement there if you do Objective-C analysis. I'm really excited to see people check that out. All right, let me go back. I forgot, I missed this one. So this is one of the most popular issues we've ever had, and it's called, I think, function at a time. And in fact, I gotta make sure, it might even be closed right now. because yeah, I gotta find. I think that was the name we had in it. Is this search? I should have put the issue in the database. But the short explanation is, because of how our decompilation works, there are major limitations in the things that we could support. So people are like, I want to do Java, I want to do .NET, I want to do Python bytecode, for example. And those virtual instruction sets aren't a real physical CPU, obviously, but that meant that there were certain things that they could do that a real CPU can't. A real CPU, when you have a transfer control, goes to and just starts interpreting new bytes. That's just right how it's going to work. It's going to fetch and it's going to execute those instructions. Java, has metadata. Like, you don't call a function. The interpreter then goes to a place in memory, reads some data with metadata that might. There's different things in each of these languages. And because we sort of were optimized for physical CPUs where we could do multi-threaded analysis, there was no state saved anywhere. Yeah, it was nice and fast because you could use those multiple threads. But we knew that we needed to long-term have a better solution. And so that solution is on dev. Right now, there is the ability to build your own architecture and have it do what we call function at a time lifting or function level basic block recovery. And so this is the kind of details here you can look at in more detail there. But basically, this sort of unlocks a variety of architectures that we haven't been able to handle before, which is super nice. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave that back up because that makes it easier for y'all to read. And so, yeah, this is in progress. We're currently using it. Brandon's working on Hexagon support, which will be an ultimate only CPU. So we've kind of been saying for a while. I think that was the sort of esoteric weird stuff. Thank you, Kyle. Awesome. There it is. Yeah, 10th highest issue of all time, and it's the 10th highest issue in particular because you would think that only the geeky people really digging into the API would want something that specific, but it's because of the impact, because of the architectures that it enables. 742. There we go. Function level disassembly and lifting support. So yeah, function level lifting, close. So this is the issue, and it's still open, but yeah, I think can we close this? Yeah, we'll have to follow with Brandon. I think he might be on vacation right now, but yeah, this is basically we have an implementation. It's available on dev right now. We are working on our first party support with Hexagon, but we may implement others, and the community certainly could too. There's been a lot of people interested in these other architectures, so we'll see if this change, might be. You might not see anything immediately on this, but it's gonna enable a bunch of other nifty things going forward. So I almost missed it, but we got that thankfully. All right, so Pseudo-ObjectiveC. Last example here is just a note on UEFI. So we've had a lot of EFI improvements over the last couple releases, and basically it's just fully automatic. That's the thing to show now. There's no workflow, separate opening, and this is really a trend that we're trying to demonstrate. Same thing with Objective-C. You just open the file now. You don't have to specify any weird options. We really want to have a bunch of customized workflows for specific compilers, platforms, type libraries, whatever these things are, that then it just works. That's the dream, and that is the case now for this as well. You can see just the default case of opening up an EFI module. You just get gorgeous types everywhere. You get even SMM stuff. It's just very nice to be able to have that kind of default experience out of the box. So that was also, I think, a combined work of one of our interns last summer and Brandon, who worked on that and had done a lot of stuff. So very nice feature there as well. If you do UEFI stuff, I've actually sent it to a couple folks that do UEFI. I've been like, hey, you should look at this. There's a lot of nifty stuff now. So I think a lot of people have been used to the Code Explorer workflow. Is it Code Explorer? What's the binary? EFI Explorer. EFI Explorer, I think is the name of the. Yeah, that's it. The kind of plugin sort of approach, and our goal is to be a superset of that, to do all this stuff and just work out of the box. You don't have to install something else. And so definitely excited to have that one sort of there. Feel like we kind of not put a nail on it as in we're done, but this is the experience that we want for people. So that's pretty exciting. So that's it. That's 5.1. I almost feel like we should be naming everything a major release at this point with the amount of features that are landing on this. Yeah, it unlocks a lot of new things and contains a lot of stuff itself. architecture stuff, workflows really being, I think, made exposed to a wider audience. A lot of just improvements around the representation, letting you customize things, and Warp, of course, being a major, kind of leap forward. Is that one giant leap? That's a different space reference. That's fine. So, yeah, pretty excited for all this different stuff. Good to see everybody. Sorry I haven't been streaming as much. It's been so busy lately. I just am exhausted. I need to move the streams to not Friday, because by the time Friday rolls around, I'm like beat and I just got to go home. I have no energy. So I might actually move to a different day regularly. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, let me know if you guys got any final questions before we kind of log off. But that's it. That's 5.1. Like I said, we might have one or two other surprises sneak in before the end, and obviously there's just a million other little fixes, improvements not listed here as well. But we're excited to get this release out. Again, about a month. Look for about 4 to 5 weeks. We expect it to happen. So yeah, sweet. Thanks, Josh. All right, well, I'm gonna go home and hang out with the family. Good to see everybody. We'll be back later. Look forward to getting this. And again, most of the stuff that's on dev you can try right now if you already got a license. And the test branches will be merging soon. Some of them I think are already ready to go now. They just need a little bit extra review. So you should start to see these coming shortly, and they should all be there in time for the release. So all right, take care, everybody. See you.